The playoffs are here, and you can predict the action all the way to the finals with FanDuel Predicts. Predict the spread, the total points, and even the game-winning moments that make the playoffs. Sign up and get a $25 bonus with FanDuel Predicts.
Offered by FanDuel Prediction Markets, LLC, a registered futures commission merchant. 18-plus bonus is non-withdrawable and expires 7 days after receipt. Trading derivatives involves significant risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Manage your activity with their consumer protection tools. Restrictions apply. See terms at FanDuel.com/predicts/bonus-offer-terms.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me. Taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
A lot happening in Albany, and joining us now to talk about that is Melissa DeRosa, of course, former senior aide to then Governor Cuomo. Melissa, what do you make of this? Of course, they passed that second home tax. That's a mess.
Hey guys, great to be with you. So another day in New York, another, run on out-migration, I think is what we're getting out of this budget. As people may or may not know, this budget is 2 months late, so it's the latest the budget has been in 16 years, and it continues to increase spending in the billions. And Zoran Mamdani walked away with both a bailout from Albany, which will, in the short term, plug the gap that exists in the New York City budget, which, as John has said many times, is larger than the budget of Florida, even though Florida has 24 million people, and New York City has 8.5. And they gave him his pied-à-terre tax. Now, the pied-à-terre tax is the way that they structured this is it's going to be in 2 phases, because there's really no easy way to implement this, because as most people know, your property tax assessment bears little reality to your apartment or your condo or your co-op's actual value. So what they decided to do was in the first tranche, which takes effect on July 1st, so in 5 weeks, is any apartment that it has a tax assessed value at $1 million or more gets, I think it's a 4.5% tax if it's a second home. And they are going to figure out if it's a second home, and then it's incumbent on the homeowner to challenge that if it's not your second home, if it is in fact your primary residence.
So in other words, they send you a bill and they put a lien on your property, and then you say you defend it.
Exactly. Then you hire a lawyer, and then you fight, the state on whether or not you should have to pay this tax. Now, I was on so that's just a disaster to begin with, and the numbers that they're starting at, the $1 million number to start at, and then it, incrementally gets bigger at $5.5 million. It kicks into like 5.5%, and on and on. But the numbers they're talking about are astronomical in terms of what people are going to have to pay on top of a mansion tax, on top of a real estate transfer tax, on top of the property taxes they're already paying. But I was also speaking to a couple of CEOs of top residential real estate firms here in New York today. And what we can expect is there's going to be a number of lawsuits that are brought challenging this tax, because people originally bought these apartments when this tax didn't exist. So they bought it under false pretenses. And there's going to be challenges in court that get filed between now and July 1st as to the constitutionality of whether or not you can even implement this tax and change the rules of the game after you've purchased this apartment. That was the first thing I heard repeatedly today. So look out for that. That's going to be coming. And then the second thing that I heard is that deals are already being pulled. So one of the CEOs I spoke to today was telling me that she had heard from a number of her brokers in the last 24 hours from people who were either on the cusp of signing contracts or who have already signed a contract but haven't closed, saying, I want out. So I think that we have, you always ask the question, what's the tipping point? When do we reach the tipping point? And all of these economists want to come out and say, these lefty economists want to come out and say it's overstated that if you tax people, they're going to leave. That's a myth. It's not a myth. And it is definitely not a myth post-COVID. And it's definitely not a myth post-COVID when you can work anywhere and be anywhere, and you've got a socialist mayor who you don't have faith in, who's alienating businesses and taunting people like Ken Griffin. And people have a lot of questions about quality of life and public safety moving forward and the overall direction of the city. And it's not a myth when you're already in the most taxed locality in the country and you have the opportunity to be other places. So the people that I'm speaking to that are literally dealing with this on the ground in real time are telling me there are going to be very real ramifications to this in terms of people canceling contracts, getting out of deals, bailing on contracts they've already signed and eating the penalty. But also, I think we're going to see a number of lawsuits that are filed between now and July 1, in which case this tax may never end up going into effect at all.
Yeah.
Or else, maybe it can be prospective.
We're over time. We're into Mark Levin's time. Governor.
Real quick.
Governor Patterson, you have a quickie?
So, of course, the legislature is decided to rule on whether or not local governments can deal with the ICE agents and the ICE program, when it should be very clear that these are federal interventions, and how the state could supervise it is out of the question.
No, I agree with you, and I think also you're going to they're going to, do the thing. They're going to tempt Homan now to deploy more people here, and they're going to justify it based on this.
Homan will be on our show tomorrow.
Yeah, Homan's joining us tomorrow, so that'll be an interesting topic.
Yeah, I have a feeling he'll make some news on your program off of this.
Yeah, I do too.
We'll talk again real soon, Melissa. And thank you
Melissa,
so much for coming on.
so much,
and,
Melissa.
We have to
All
go.
right.
Thank you.
What do we stand for?
Truth, justice, and the American way.